Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business Wednesday edition as we are live here at 11 o'clock on Robat TV. Of course, as soon as we get done here, we get it up on demand here at Robat TV and on the YouTube page around the shows that we produce here as well. And folks, a busy day here on the markets in terms of what's happening with the markets. And I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on those market conditions, stocks we're paying attention to. We are waiting for the Fed minutes to come out, which just simply means, the internal discussions that they put, and the market is reacting, waiting for that to come out as well. Of course, local and national stories that you need to know as well. Let's get right into it with the Market Watch. We've got some positivity today, folks, which is nice to see out there. Well, on everything except for Bitcoin, of course, right? Dow Jones right now is up 296 points to 49,840. S&P 500 is up 61 points to 6908. The NASDAQ, again, sorry for the link here. It's on their end. They're trying to fix it. NASDAQ's up 311 points right now. For the NASDAQ, 22,890. The Russell 2K also up today, 34 points to 2673 for that small cap index. Bitcoin, it's interesting to see where it's hovering here, right? Yesterday was in the 68,000 range, was in the 68, 69 range last week. 67,107 for Bitcoin here on this Wednesday. And what's going to happen with that Bitcoin with everybody holding this price at 80, 90, 100,000, 110,000 for some of these big institutional investors out there. Stocks we are paying attention to right now. Well, first one, it's almost lunchtime. We have a story coming up on Buffalo Wild Wings later on in the show. So let's look at their competitor here. Wingstop will be the first stock that we're going to pay attention to. 12.12% right now up for Wingstop. They have been coming up with phenomenal numbers here over the last couple years, despite what the industry is doing as a whole. And an upbeat outlook is the reason why we have this 12% increase here today. Wingstop said it sees a flat to low single-digit domestic same-store sales growth for fiscal 2026. In the fourth quarter, well, their same-store sales did decline 5.8% on a year-over-year basis. But that was better than the 6.7% slide that was expected out there. So even when Wingstop does have a slide, not as bad as the slide is expected. This company continues to impress here despite all the economic concerns for these types of restaurants out there. Wingstop's up 11.77% right now. And then let's look at Madison Square Garden Sports. If you don't know, Rangers, Knicks, the Madison Square Garden itself, all one entity. Well, this stock is up 13.89% right now as we're looking at that. Well, they're not going to be one large entity anymore. They announced plans to spin off the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers side of the business into their own company. This split was unanimously approved by the board. Well, it's going to create two distinct publicly traded companies. So that means each sports team will handle its own operations independently. Right now, they have one owner, the Dolan family, and so they're going to split them off into two separate entities right now, making them kind of deal by themselves and not kind of both intertwined here. If you work for the Knicks, you also do some work for the Knicks as well, things to that effect. Madison Square Garden did share the news in its fiscal second quarter earnings report. Where we got it from. So 13.89% here for Madison Square Garden Sports Corp. We're splitting up here. We're seeing a lot of splits here with companies. And then let's look at Garmin again as well. We talked last week yesterday maybe it was, about them expanding their airline business there out at Mesa Gateway Airport. Well, they're up 10% today. Not necessarily because of that, but, they have better than expected fourth quarter earnings, Garmin did. They issued a strong, very strong 2026 forecast as well. They said they see strong demand for its fitness products out there. Garmin also raised its dividend and even announced a $500 million buyback program. Well, stocks rewarding them for all this positive news. 10.02% up right now for Garmin here today. Later on, when we come back and look at stocks, We're going to look at a company called Palantir. You know them, they're a software firm. We talk about them often here. They tend to have big ups and down swings. They're in the news here today as well. Nvidia, well, we'll look at them, that chip maker, getting some more positive in terms of the, who they're working with, I guess I should say, and some AI development. And then we'll look at Caesars Entertainment as well, coming up also. But first, a couple updates here to a couple stories we've talked about here over the last couple of weeks. First of all, in the first update, well, the lawsuit continues here against Meta, Instagram, etc., and other social media companies. But it's making news today because Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, well, he did go out and testify. Made it to court this morning. Interesting enough, if you see the picture on your screen, I'll tell you if you're not watching. The people around him, a lot of them showed up in those Meta AI glasses as well for people wearing around him. People made a lot of notes about that as well. So this is the trial. This is the trial that's setting up all the other trials out there. So this is about how these social media platforms harm children and kind of prey on children as well. This is the first time that Mark Zuckerberg is going to answer youth safety allegations in front of a jury. This is that lawsuit with KGM, that's the person's initials, versus Meta Platforms, and et al. For the other companies as well. This is that 20-year-old woman in California, I believe, that filed this, that alleged Meta and these other social media companies engineer their platforms to hook younger users, help mental states, etc. Is what she's saying. Really affect them, suicidal thoughts, and now she's looking to hold these companies accountable. She's not the only one looking to do that as well. This is the test case here out there. So Google's YouTube's involved with this. Obviously, Meta's Instagram's involved with it, but Google's YouTube as well. We do know TikTok and I believe Snapchat did settle out of this lawsuit already and things, but they deny the allegations. They cite years of expanded safety features and even those parental controls are why these allegations are just false with all that stuff they've implemented. They are expected to point to the other factors in KGM's life. Yeah, let's blame the victim here, right? Highlighting their investments in youth safety, and they're going to argue they should not be held responsible for harmful content uploaded by the users because they're just an entity, right? And the users put this stuff out there. This is what this case means, right? For an update now. So the update is Mark Zuckerberg's testifying this morning. He's already arrived at court and is underway and things to that effect. But this is a big case if you don't remember. I'll refresh your memory here. The verdict for the plaintiff, meaning KGM, well, it's going to set the precedent for holding tech companies responsible for harmful design decisions. And these companies have been very successful for a lot of years, invoking what they call Section 230s. Section 230 is the content liability shield that these companies kind of have hidden behind before. This is the first time we're getting to this point of a lawsuit to get around that Section 230. 230 is a federal law. It largely shields online platforms from lawsuits because they aren't responsible for user-posted content, according to that deal. Now, these allegations aren't users' content is what pushed her over the side in addiction. What they do to get you addicted is more of the case they're going through right now. So, if the rejection of that defense by these companies, well, the problem is it's going to pave the way for similar lawsuits throughout the country. So that means Meta, Snapchat, Google, YouTube, etc. Well, they're going to be exposed to billions of damages in terms of lawsuits, and going to put a lot of pressure on them to redesign their platforms and change them completely to avoid these lawsuits moving forward as well. How many lawsuits are waiting to see how this one turns out? Well, just Meta and Google by themselves, they have more than 2,300 related lawsuits just waiting in the wings to see how this one comes out, right? Parents, school districts, state attorneys generals, all just chomping on the bit to see how this lawsuit comes out. So the update is Mark Zuckerberg, well, testifying today. We'll have to see how that goes for him later on in the day. He does not come off as a personable guy. I'll just tell you that here. I don't believe he does. So it'll be interesting to see how the jury takes to him out there. But another update, a German company, Bayer, They bought a company back in what was it, 2017, 2018 timeframe, and it's just been lawsuits galore since, right? But there was an announcement here. Bayer and the attorneys for cancer patients, they came out this morning. They announced a proposed $7.25 billion settlement, all that to resolve thousands of U.S. lawsuits about how Baylor failed to warn people that weed killer Roundup, well, it could cause cancer. The proposed settlement comes as the U.S. Supreme Court is preparing to hear arguments in April on Bayer's assertion that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's approval of Roundup without a excuse me, cancel warning, well, that should invalidate claims filed in state courts. So Bayer is going to the Supreme Court to say, hey, the USDA approved this without a cancer warning. So we should not be held responsible for that, is what they're going to claim to the Supreme Court out there. This case, that case in front of the Supreme Court, it's not going to be affected by this settlement. Settlement goes through regardless. The settlement would eliminate some of the risks from the eventual Supreme Court ruling. For instance, if they rule that they're still responsible, well, obviously that opens them up to more dollars and more lawsuits, etc. So this settlement does kind of still help them out. Patients would be assured of receiving settlement money, even if the Supreme Court does rule in Bayer's favor. The Bayer, like I said, German company here, but they would be protected from potentially larger costs, of course, if the Supreme Court does rule against it. So what happened is Bayer acquired Roundup maker Monsanto back in 2018. And then that became lawsuit city because Bayer does dispute the assertion that Roundup's key ingredient, which is glyphosate, that it can cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The company, though, has warned that mounting legal costs are threatening its ability to continue selling the product in the U.S. agriculture markets. And that's what I don't get, right? Is that product's just going to eventually go away if it falls on it. They can't afford to keep selling it in litigious markets. And so just another update for you there. A big settlement has occurred while they're still fighting all of that stuff out as well. And then another interesting story just happened as well over the last couple days, and um, somebody's cryptos, the prediction markets are becoming a big thing. We saw that a lot during the Super Bowl and everything, but now kind of just a um, unlikely person or company or agencies getting involved with these prediction markets as they're trying to get more regulation put on them from state governments and every state, just like the gambling companies, they're trying to put more regulations on them at a state level. But then, shockingly, a Commodities Futures Trading Commission, that's the CFTC, they're stepping in because they want to stop what it calls an onslaught of state level regulation of those prediction markets. These are companies like Kalshi that you heard a lot about during the Super Bowl. The CFTC chairman did come out on Tuesday. His name is Michael Selig. He put out a video on X, and he said that the agency has filed a, quote, friend of the court brief, unquote. Basically, that just says they're in support of Crypto.com in those escalating legal battles with regulators, specifically in Nevada. It is a significant move because it marks the first time under Selig that the CFTC has taken sides in what is shaping up to be an epic, huge battle, like War of the Worlds type battle here, fight between regulators and these prediction markets. Like I said, Kalshi. These are, if you don't know what a prediction market is, it's different than sports gambling. You allow the users there to trade contracts tied to a wide range of events. So you can bet on local markets here. Like for instance, Trump's going to win the next election. Put money on it, people go against it, and it just ramps up as well. Of course, Super Bowl and sports betting involved with that as well. So by getting involved with this, the CFTC is effectively arguing that prediction markets are federally regulated, which they are. But he's saying, and they're saying that not subject to state level gambling laws at the same time. Over the past year, several states, Massachusetts, Nevada with this lawsuit, well, they've moved to restrict prediction markets. They've been filing tons of lawsuits, issuing cease and desist letters of operating in those states as well. But then these states are arguing that the platforms amount to unlicensed gambling. And there's a big battle on this in New York early on with Kalshi, where unlicensed gambling is what they claim, and New York lost that. Kalshi became a thing as well. Even Utah's Republican governor, Spencer Cox, by the way, if you don't know who that is, but he put a post out on X yesterday and said that he will use every measure within his disposal to beat this friend of the lawsuit here fight in court. So they're going after these prediction markets. Something to keep an eye on. If you dabble in the prediction markets, I personally don't enjoy them, don't like them. I'm not. I'm one that's like, hey, if you want to do that, go do it. But I don't understand them at all. And the state governments want to regulate them, which probably means more taxes, right? But they do want to regulate them, and it's going through that law system as well. That we're looking at that. We got a couple cyber taxi stories for you, and what's on the horizon for them, and one of them is what's happening right now. But we'll start here with Uber Technologies first up. They came out early this morning and they said they're going to invest more than $100 million to develop autonomous vehicle charging hubs in the markets where they do their cyber taxis. Obviously, this is a big move for them, and it underscores Uber's latest push into the scale up of self driving operations. It's amazing how far these companies are behind, like Waymo, for instance. The move includes building a DC fast charging stations at the autonomous depots where Uber runs day to day fleet operations, but then there'll also be pit stops throughout the priority cities where they'll have just individual charging stations. Uber has made autonomous vehicles a key strategic priority. They have partnered with more than 20 firms across the world on self driving freight, deliveries, taxi services. Obviously, it's trying to gain that market share and fight off the competition, from companies like Waymo. Tesla is another one getting into that market as well. This charging expansion is going to begin in the U.S., specifically the Bay Area over in California. Then it's going to go to Los Angeles and Dallas as well in that same time frame. And then it'll move to other cities over time as they, of course, get regulatory and move into that stuff. So Uber continuing that push here to self-driving taxis. And, you know, I don't know. I tried to look up here how many Waymo crashes and complaints there are in terms of how they drive. I know they happen, but they've been scaled down over the time as they've been operating here, specifically in Arizona. But I can tell you this, Tesla last year just started operating in Austin. Yeah, we know for a fact now that Tesla robo taxis have been involved in 14 crashes over there in Austin, Texas, since they launched just last summer as well. So that's according to electric vehicle automator maker Tesla, disclosed to federal safety regulators out there. The five most recent incidents actually involved Tesla's self-driving taxis, and they took place in December and January, so just a couple months ago, according to this report. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is the one that put all this out. No good news, no injuries that were reported in any of these crashes that we're talking about. Although the crashes did result in some form of property damage. So either the robotaxis collided with other vehicle, or more likely than not, a fixed object seems to be the hot thing to crash into, as well, according to that NHTSA. Two other incidents that occurred back in July and October last year, well, they resulted in minor injuries to some humans out there. As you know, Tesla launched the robotaxi service in Austin in June in 2025. They want to bring it here to Phoenix. They're putting their permits in and stuff to that effect. The rollout started as a pilot. That's when Tesla invited a select group of people to ride in a fleet of Model Y robotaxis. Other people in Austin, well, they can now hail one as Tesla's self-driving cars using the company's robotaxi app as well. So Waymo's in Austin as well, I do believe. But only weeks after the service debuted in Austin, the NHTSA said that it was investigating several incidents in which the robotaxis were filmed driving erratically, things like driving down the wrong side of the street, braking suddenly, stopping for no reason, and when everybody else is going straight, and then it just stops like it's at a red light. So a lot of bugs to be worked out here. I guess that's why it's a pilot program, right? But interesting numbers here. Tesla notoriously has not given accurate numbers out there. So my question is, now they gave that to the regulators, and I'm sure there's some sort of regulation with it, but how accurate are those numbers is the question that I kind of have. The whole point of going to use autonomous cars is they make less mistakes than humans. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out as well. Speaking of robots, interesting Corey story coming up later. I have an 18-year-old getting ready to go to college and wants to do some things in his life. And part of you just has to wonder, will AI take over that job at some point? Will robots, take over that job at some point as you're looking to go into stuff? Well, we have some results here, at least in terms of a study, and robots and other animation automation technologies. They say could replace about 20% of U.S. jobs over the next 2 decades. All this is according to economists that did some research there with investment advisory firm Oxford Economics. All this was a report that put out, and it said that roughly a fifth of jobs of highly vulnerable to such a shift to robotics or AI. They did note that tech is able to replace most or all of the functions currently performed by human workers already exist and is commercially available as well in these specific fields. This shouldn't be a shocker to you, as we just talked about Tesla and Uber and autonomous vehicles. But 60% of the jobs in transportation and logistics, well, they obviously have the big potential there of being automated over the next 20 years, making it the most vulnerable section to automation. And obviously, you expect that to happen coming up. Oxford Economics did evaluate more than 800 different occupations to determine their level of vulnerability to that automation. Yeah. So they did things like job function, the availability of tech that can perform the task right now associated with a given role is what they specifically looked into. So we know transportation is a big one here as well. Well, other sectors that Oxford does see as more vulnerable to automation, manufacturing, obviously, accommodation and catering. That one does kind of shock me a little bit. Retail, wholesale, trade and extraction is what they say are the industries there that could move to more automation side of things. You're seeing some people already move to the retail side, like going to McDonald's today. I know it's not retail, it's fast food. But going to McDonald's today, you can barely talk to somebody in there. You have to do it through their system, a little do, and find your stuff to place the order. So it's going that way as well. A job's vulnerability to automation, they want to make clear, Oxford does, even in the near term, does not mean it's an imminent jobs collapse or productivity boom going to happen if it's, like automation. Like we got to get these cars up and running. Then you got to scale the cars, right? People have to become comfortable driving in the autonomous cars. So just because there's a 60% chance in the next 2 decades does not mean it's going to happen quickly. And that, get out of that job, because it does not mean that at all. So when we come back here at McCollum on Business on this Wednesday edition, we keep this rolling here as well. Come on back. We're going to look at new stocks that are making some waves today. Take a look at that market that's going up today. The Fed notes are not out yet. We're still waiting for that as well, but stocks are up ahead of the Fed minutes, and obviously NVIDIA making that move up today as well. We'll talk about that stock. So come on back. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business Wednesday edition. And folks, appreciate you joining me here live at 11 o'clock today, tomorrow, and Friday as well. Get you through the rest of the week at 11. Tuesdays, we do a morning business show. Tomorrow, we are going to do a standard 11 o'clock one here tomorrow as well. And you saw the ad there for the pit stop. New episode coming out this week. Actually, folks, because of Monday, I'm not going to lie to you. I forgot today was Wednesday. But we get the pit stop up for you tomorrow as well for this week, leading into Atlanta this weekend. We'll look back at the Daytona 500, but look ahead to Atlanta this weekend in racing. So join me there at the pit stop here at Robat TV on demand, of course, also the YouTube channel, and then it's got a free podcast as well. The Pit Stop Talk is where you can find the pit stop for those of you that rather listen to the program. We'll get that up and running for you tomorrow as well. And then, of course, you got The Real Matrix every Friday at 10 o'clock. New episode comes out here at Robat TV. And noon on Rumble, of all places, is where you can find the video version on demand of The Real Matrix. Then, of course, it has a free podcast as well. Just search at The Real Matrix or The Real Matrix Show. Should pop up for you pretty quickly. I've tested extensively what to do to pop it up for you. For those of you in the podcast system space, but Rumble is where you can catch the full shows there as well. Some of the shows are up still on the YouTube page. Some issues there YouTube is having with some of those shows. So we're going to actually shorten it down and do some promo stuff on that on the YouTube page of every episode, but full episodes over on Rumble right now. Just search either TME Media or The Real Matrix, and it pops right up for you as well there. So we appreciate everybody following The Real Matrix. The Angry Patriot just wants you to come on forward and just have an open mind as he shows you kind of how the world works out there and, quite frankly, how we're living in the Matrix. Of course, the main event in the candidate tomorrow, Uncle Lou joins me as well. Dale will be here for the whole show tomorrow as well. All three of us will talk UFC. Of course, getting back underway this week as well. College baseball's underway. ASU's 4-0. Arizona's 0-4 going into this young baseball season for college as well. Maybe some hockey talk with Uncle Lou. So come and join us tomorrow, 8 to 10 a.m. Lou comes on at 9 o'clock, folks. We'd love to have you join us, but if you miss it, catch us on demand here at Robat TV on the YouTube page on demand. And TME Sports Show is the free podcast on your favorite podcast system out there as well. So looking fun. And as soon as we get done here, we get this show up on demand as well. So that'll be there for you. Of course, YouTube page on demand at Robat TV. No podcast for this show. But we appreciate you guys supporting us. Just like and follow our stuff if you would. Gets us out there. And don't forget also on the Pit Stop, follow me at the Pit Stop Talk on X. Just start my social media for the racing stuff out there. Watch the races and kind of talk about them as they go on. Obviously, the news of the week between shows here as well. So come and join us, would you? They're at the Pit Stop Talk as well. And folks, enough of that. Let's get into that market watch. As I said, we're waiting for the Fed minutes to come out. It's just going to tell us what they talked about in their meeting. Did they talk about rate cuts? Did they talk about what they need to see for future rate cuts? That's what the market's waiting for, and the market has responded positively today. And stocks have risen, waiting for these Fed minutes to come out. Dow Jones is up 210 points right now. The S&P 500 is up to 47. The NASDAQ link's broken on the screen, but I can tell you they're 255 points up for the NASDAQ. Right now, the Russell 2K up 28 points for the small cap index. Bitcoin, though, look at that, down. It was at 67 when we looked at it earlier. 66,611 right now for Bitcoin, as well as that is just finding a comfortable place in the 68 range, 66, 68 range, thousand range here for Bitcoin. And a lot of money has been lost for people that were buying millions and billions of dollars there when it was 80, 90, $100,000 in stocks there as well. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. Well, let's talk about Palantir will be our first stock. Sorry, folks. I was like, what? What am I going to talk about? It's 4.11% up for Palantir Technologies right now, a software firm. Mizuho did come out and upgrade the stock to outperform. The analyst there at Mizuho did say that recent valuation reset has improved the company's risk-reward setup and even strong commercial growth mainly because government demand is likely to translate to sustainable growth and margin expansion for Palantir. They do a lot of work with the government. And so obviously that's good news. And the stock's being rewarding it with this movement here and upgraded to outperform by Mizuho for Palantir Technologies. Next up, let's look at obviously the leading chip maker out there. We're talking about NVIDIA here. Meta came out as well and expanded its partnership with NVIDIA. What Meta is going to do is they're going to use millions of NVIDIA's company's AI chips, including standalone central processing units for its data center buildouts for Meta. So Meta and NVIDIA expanding that partnership obviously means a lot more sales here for NVIDIA. So that's why their stock's up 2.29% here today for NVIDIA. And then finally, let's go to either Vegas or Macau, China as well. Let's talk a little Caesars Entertainment out there. Struggling company overall. They've made some terrible mistakes, in my opinion, over in Las Vegas, selling the land and paying rent to people for their Caesar's Palaces and their other resorts are. But they're up 12.08% right now for them. They beat on its fourth quarter financial results. Revenue for the 3 month period for the fourth quarter came in at $2.92 billion. The expectation was only $2.89 billion for them as well. So they did come in and beat the revenue. Caesars Digital adjusted EBITDA, if I can say it properly, well, it came in at $85 million. Just a year ago, it was only at $20 million. So big increase there for their Caesars Digital adjusted EBITDA out there. So big news here for Caesars Entertainment. Some positive news finally for them. 12.14% up there for Caesars here on this Wednesday. Now let's get into some local stories here. Don't forget the NBA All-Star game was over the weekend. Devin Booker played the most minutes of any player on the court. He was in the three-point contest as well. Well, that is coming here to Arizona next year. Yeah, the Phoenix Suns and the Mortgage Matchup Center in downtown Phoenix. Well, they're going to host the NBA All-Star Game coming up next year, February 21st, 2027. Of course, big news here is the All-Star Game's coming. Don't forget the Super Bowl is going to be President's Day weekend next year. So that pushes back like the All-Star Game and other events like that. Phoenix obviously has has hosted other NBA All-Star games. 75, 95, and 2009 were the last times we hosted the All-Star games here as well. You know the All-Star games, like three-point contest, dunk contest, bunch of other stuff happening around town as well, and then it finishes off with that All-Star game. The new All-Star game logo is out as well. It features 4 stars, one for each game that has been hosted here in Phoenix as well. Next to the Suns logo with the sunset gradient, inspired by the Valley jerseys that the Suns do wear out there. So mark your calendars. One, avoid downtown unless you're going to the All-Star game next February 21st weekend. But 2, big event coming through town, and make you aware of that as well. Now let's go down to Gila County here really quick, because there's a company called New Earth Resources Corp. Well, they came out and announced yesterday that they submitted an application to the Arizona State Land Department. Well, they want to buy another 268 acres of additional state mineral lease land, which is next to what they have used before, and they call that the Lucky Boy Uranium Project down there in Gila County. They want some additional land, expand, and keep moving it down there as well. If this does get approved by the State Land Department, the additional acreage will nearly double the company's current land position with that Lucky Boy area. The applied for acreage is located directly adjacent to the company's existing project area. So it's just an expansion. They're not moving to a new area. The additional 268 acres are intended to complement the company's current land package, and they wanted to provide greater strategic flexibility for future exploration activities. So consolidating these adjacent ground areas, well, it can assist in potential development planning as the company continues to evaluate and even advance the project area down there in Gila County. So there's an expansion going on, State Land Department. Now, they have to approve it and everything. So if you're against that uranium site down there, you reach out to in Gila County, reach out to your state land department and representatives there to voice your opinion. But that is happening as well. And let's get into a couple food stories. One, God bless this gentleman for keeping things and wanting to keep things the way they are. Just lusciousness, right? There's a gentleman out there named Brad Reese. He's the grandson of the inventor who came out and invented the peanut butter cups. Reese's peanut butter cups, folks. Well, he recently penned a letter to the Hershey's company. By the way, he has nothing to do with the company. He does do stuff with Reese's, but so he had to pen this letter to the Hershey company, which of course now makes and owns the Reese's peanut butter cups. He has accused Hershey's of swapping out key ingredients for cheaper ones or inferior ones, is what he used. He did note that his grandfather, H.B. Reese, created the peanut cup on a simple, enduring architecture: milk chocolate plus peanut butter. Seems pretty simple, right? By the way, Brad Reese is 70 years old. He's riled up about this, rightfully so, by the way. Don't mess with the Reese's, man. Well, he accuses Hershey's of replacing milk chocolate with the compound coatings and peanut butter being replaced with peanut butter creams instead of actual peanut butter. The Hershey's company did respond and said his peanut butter cups are made the same way they always have been, with peanut butter made with fresh roasted peanuts and milk chocolate. But we do know it's not unusual for candy manufacturers to adjust their recipes. We know that a lot of companies have changed formulas in the last couple of years because of those skyrocketing cocoa prices, all because of the bad weather, crop disease, and everything in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, there where those cocoa trees are raised and where you get cocoa from. So we know people have adjusted less chocolate or put some other stuff into it to make it, but not calling it chocolate. And I'm going to tell you in a minute here how you can tell if they've swapped out from chocolate. Some manufacturers have swapped cocoa butter with other fats, so like vegetable oil as well. That just simply means the product can no longer qualify as milk chocolate under U.S. standards. So you have to watch the labeling as well. If you see milk chocolate go away, look at that ingredient. So customers will notice the words candy coatings or chocolate candy on product labels when they do switch out a lot of those things. But Brad Reese, standing up for his family name. Now, he's an ambassador to Reese's peanut butter cups. He has nothing to do with it. The family sold out to Hershey's way back when. I want to say it was 1968, if I remember properly. But it was a long time ago. The family sold out to Hershey's and everything. So, but he's still an ambassador and obviously still fired up about those luscious Reese's peanut butter cups out there. And now let's go to a company that's near and dear to my heart in terms of I can't stand it. Maybe you do. I know when we used to have a roundabout with Izzy, our producer here and great friend, about this place, because he loved them. I do not. Well, it is official. They had to go to court to defend their name and honor, but Buffalo Wild Wings can keep calling its menu item boneless wings officially now. A federal judge made this ruling yesterday. Does dismiss a lawsuit that claimed the name amounted to false advertising, is what somebody sued him over. So this is U.S. District Judge John Tharp dealing with the important things in life, this judge is. This all went down in Illinois as well. He issued a 10-page ruling, folks, allowing the sports bar chain to continue calling its menu item boneless wings. This is all because a Chicago man filed a lawsuit accusing Buffalo Wild Wings of false advertising. He said the boneless wings were overpriced because they are essentially chicken nuggets. Yeah, they're nuggies. Well, Eamon Hallam argued in the lawsuit that Buffalo Wild Wings should call the product something different. He suggested chicken poppers. He sued Buffalo Wild Wings shortly after he visited the restaurant in January of 23, claiming that he was deceived by the chain's marketing. He alleged that the boneless wings are just slices of chicken breast meat deep fried like wings, and that customers would either pay less for the boneless wings or not purchase them at all if they knew what was in the product. He did say later he regretted buying the item after learning how it was made, which he claimed caused him to suffer a financial injury as a result of Buffalo Wild Wings' false and deceptive conduct. In the ruling, God bless the judge for this, he said that the wild boneless wings are essentially chicken nuggets The product concept was not new, noting that Buffalo Wild Wings had sold them since 2003. So he even admits that they're technically nuggets. But they've been sold for so long, you know what they are, is what the judge is basically saying. Boneless, this is his exact quote in the 10-page ruling. Boneless wings are not a niche product for which a consumer would need to do extensive research to figure out the truth. I love this judge. Instead, the judge says boneless wings is a common term that has existed for over 2 decades. Man, I'll get behind you if you want to sue him for just crappy food or sticky tables, whatever. I'm behind you on that lawsuit. I cannot get behind you with those sweet. We all know boneless wings are chicken nuggets. We all know it. But the things people sue over, folks, isn't that an amazing deal out there? So hit up a Buffalo Wild Wings if you like that stuff. You like to sit down and stick to the table. They don't clean them right. You like gross wings, gross meat. There you go, folks. Check out Buffalo Wild Wings now, right? They can keep boneless wings on the menu for you out there as well. And folks, I appreciate you joining us here today. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. McCollum on Business. Come and join us. A pit stop will be out on Thursday this week. Again, my fault. With the Monday being a holiday and we took it off, completely forgot. Today was Wednesday, so I got to get the show ready. I'll work on that today and have pit stop up tomorrow as well for you, folks. So look forward to that. Follow me at the Pit Stop Talk as well for updates there. I'll post here in just a few minutes when it'll be up as well. So we'll see you then tomorrow, everybody. Have a great night. Stay out of trouble. Have some fun. Wednesday night. Yeah, see you tomorrow, everybody.